Greetings of Namaste. My name is Rob Hotep, coming back at you with another astrological segment. In this particular episode, I'm going to talk about Taurus. Taurus the bull. I know that we got some subscribers and fans out there that are Tauruses, and I want to send a shout out to all my Tauruses right now because I know we definitely got the Tauruses in the house, the loyal Tauruses. I've done a lot of readings for you guys, and a lot of the Tauruses were waiting for me to do this video, so now I'm finally doing it. Now let me go ahead and break down what I do as far as on a personal level. I'm an astrologer for those people that are new to this channel, and I do what's called 13 signs astrology readings. I started out as a Western astrologer almost over 10 years back, and in the course of me being in Western astrology, I started doing a lot of readings, and I wasn't feeling right about the readings. And I started to do, basically, make a long story short, I discovered the 13 signs astrology system from a particular Japanese astrologer. And from there, I began to start to do 13 signs astrology readings. And basically in this, we just include the 13th sign, which is a fucus. So this kind of changes the zodiac a little bit. So when you hear me talk about different constellations like Taurus and Aries and stuff like that, know that I'm speaking from the 13 signs perspective and based on the dates of the 13 signs astrology. And that's basically how we interpret a person's natal chart. Now, if you've got a natal chart based on Western astrology, you have to understand there's different zodiacs. You have the Western zodiac, which was originally created by the Egyptians, by Tahuti, to be a seasonal zodiac. And this 13 signs astrology zodiac was actually tied into the sacred flower of life, which was really a secret that the Egyptians never even talked about because you could be killed. But the Egyptians knew about the 13th sign. Did not get it twisted. They know about the number 13 and the system of 13, the 13 chakras as well. So basically what I started doing is I started doing readings based on the 13th sign, because when you analyze the zodiac, you'll notice that the sun does not go through 12 signs, it goes through 13 signs. And another thing you'll find out is that the zodiac is organic. What I mean by that is that the zodiac is not divided up into even degrees. This is not how the actual constellations, when you're observing them, this is not how the actual constellations are observed. They're not divided up into equal degrees. So, for instance, when you're looking at Taurus, in Western astrology, they say Taurus is 30 days long. But in actuality, Taurus is 37 days long because you're dealing with degrees. And you're dealing with the size of you're dealing with the organic zodiac. And anytime you're dealing with anything that's organic in nature, it's never perfect. It's holistic. Really, perfection is to be holistic or whole. That's what perfection is, like the concept of a whole. That's perfection. So it's whole. But what I mean is that it's not perfect based upon man's idea of perfection, because man wants everything to divide evenly and equally. And this is not how the zodiac is divided up when you measure it accurately based upon the zodiac or whatever. So Taurus is 37 degrees or 37 days long. It takes the sun 37 days to go through Taurus. Taurus starts on May the 14th and it ends on June the 19th. So 37 days of Taurus. Now, just to get into some of the metaphysics of Taurus to help all my fellow Tauruses out there to better understand themselves, I'm going to go into some of the qualities of Taurus. Now, first of all, Taurus is ruled by Venus. So what does that say? Taurus is ruled by Venus because that links into the Pleiadian aspect of Taurus. Taurus is all about beauty, artistry, the arts, beautifying a thing. They're all about how things look, because they are really the rulers of the earth element, the physical element. Taurus represents the dawn, because Taurus goes into the bull. And when you study the bull, and especially in the ancient Italian mythos, you'll find out that the bull was represented by the dawn, or the head person that ruled and managed the kingdom, or the king. And Taurus is definitely, just like Leo's a king, Taurus is a king, but Taurus is more of the dawn aspect of the king, because Leo is more of the on the magical side of kingship, whereas Taurus is on the earthly side. So Taurus deals with the kingship of resources and making sure that people are taken care of and making sure that duties are done. This is what, the people, the dons and bosses and people that are in charge of big time companies have to do. So a lot of times people that are born up under the constellation of Taurus, they are endowed with a lot of responsibility and endowed with a lot of obligations to manage material resources. So this can kind of like cause them over time as they spend time in this incarnation. This can kind of cause them to look materialistic and to come off as that's all they care about is money, because Taurus deals with the concept of I have. Like each particular sign has a different slogan, and Taurus, their slogan is I have. So Taurus is all about what they have, resources, and how to allocate them. And but at the same time, Tauruses have a good heart, and they're willing to take care of people because Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is kind, and Venus is nice. So Taurus is nice, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's just like the Don. The Don will be nice to you as long as you kiss his ring. So Taurus is the Don, like the Don of the zodiac. I don't particularly have any Taurus energy in my particular chart, but I'm going through some transits dealing with Taurus, so I definitely understand Taurus. Taurus is a sign that I hold dear to me because of the fact that really, if it wasn't for a beautiful Taurus soul, I probably wouldn't even be making this video about Taurus right now. And I gotta definitely take some time before I get into talking about the Taurus females. I want to talk about the Taurus females based upon my favorite Taurus, based on the 13th signs astrology system, and that was my grandmother. Now, we have an interesting relationship, me and my grandmother, because me and my grandmother have never met in the physical. But I feel like I know my grandmother. Like I've told different family members things about my grandmother and talk like her, even her voice, because I hear her talk to me all the time, and I can even talk the way she used to talk. And I would talk to other family members, and they would be like, wow, like you definitely have her down pat, and where'd you get this information from? But me and my grandmother, she came on the scene. Like I didn't ever know her, and when I was growing up, I never really had a connection with her. So I really didn't. I mean, I loved her from the concept of. I mean, she was the reason why I got to this point, but I didn't have a physical bond or connection, and it wasn't until I turned 30 years old where I had a deep spiritual experience, and that's when my grandmother came on the scene, and that's when I actually really believed in my heart of hearts that that's when I met her. I went to a psychic back in when I was about 30 years old, and this particular psychic started to channel my grandmother. And it was spooky because I never met this psychic a day in my life, and the psychic knew things about my grandmother, specific things, and was telling me things that my grandmother wanted me to know. And it was just so interesting. I'm not going to go into a lot of it, but my grandmother was telling this psychic things about my family line that I didn't know. I mean, it was interesting or whatever, just how the psychic was channeling my ancestral line or whatever. So, and this was a Native American psychic, so I mean, you can already imagine that they're very spiritual anyway. So that's when I really got acquainted with my grandmother, though, after visiting this psychic, and I built a strong connection. And from there, I started to hear this voice, and it was like a woman, and she would, she would talk to me like at different times, like when I'm right about to go to sleep, or when I was just waking up, or sometime in my dreams and things like that. And I would hear a faint voice, and it would be like a high pitched voice, and it would be a female. And I'm like, who is this female? So I went to one of my family members and asked my family member, who is this particular female? Like, what is this voice? And I talked in the tone of the voice with a high pitched voice, and she talked with a very high pitched voice. And they're like, that sounds like Lee. That's the name they called my grandmother. Like that sounds like Lee. So, and then everybody just started to look at me, and I mean, people was looking at me crazy. I mean, at the same time too, like, what the hell are you? How are you hearing this, and how do you know all of these things that you're not supposed to know? And this is because my grandmother came on the scene, and from there, that's when I really went to a deeper spiritual initiation to get to the point of where I'm at now, and I'm still going through the same initiation. But it really started with her coming on the scene. So she was that Taurus figure, that female Taurus figure that came into my life, and she was a hard worker when she was on the planet. Like, according to all of my family and stuff like that, she was hard working. She was loyal to my grandfather. She was like a housewife. So back in the days, like, the women, they stayed at home and took care of everything, to the point where she even took care of the money. Like, my grandfather just come turn in the money, and she would manage it. You know what I'm saying? So really diligent, hardworking spirit or whatever, and that's what I remember about Taurus. Now, a lot of Tauruses, she was my grandmother was born on June the 1st, and a lot of Tauruses, they believe they're Geminis, because most of us believe, Western astrology, and we think that's Gemini energy. That's actually Taurus energy. Taurus women are very beautiful, extremely beautiful, because they're ruled by Venus. Even the Taurus males have a sense of dress. You can't outdress them. You know what I'm saying? Because the fact that Taurus decorates the earth. So I mean, you cannot dress a Taurus. If you want a personal designer, or you know what I'm saying, you want to hire somebody to shop for you, definitely get you a nice Taurus or whatever, whether it's male or female. But the Taurus women are extremely beautiful. Even the ones, the females with moon in Taurus, these are just like the Libra women are beautiful. Taurus women are right up there with them. So that's that Taurus energy or whatever. So now getting into the aspects of the different stars that are located in the Taurus constellation, you have the Pleiadian stars that are located in the Taurus constellation that link to Taurus and Aquarius, and this is the diligent side of Taurus, and the scientific side and the artistic side of Aquarius. So this is where Taurus and Aquarius gets this energy of being artistic and creative and things of that nature, because the Pleiadian energy actually ties into Aquarius as well. But as far as on the Taurus side, those Pleiadian stars are located in the constellation of Taurus, as well as the stars of Aldebaran. Now, when you get into the stars of Aldebaran, this is where Taurus is presented with choices on a material level. And this is when Tauruses are sometimes called materialistic, because Aldebaran creates an energy in Taurus to where they're entrusted with positions of authority at all times. They're always put on that pedestal. They're always put on that stage because of how loyal they are, how good they are at working with the people and stuff like that. So then you get all of that energy from the Aldebaran side of Taurus. And Taurus is a fixed sign. So Taurus is kind of like, once they get their mind made up on being a certain way, that's how they're going to be. So, you know what I'm saying? If a Taurus sometimes is presented with situations where they may have to compromise their integrity, situations where they're put into greedy type of scenarios where it's like, do I take the money or do I keep my integrity? So that's that part of Taurus where they're always struggling with the material thing. That's based on the Aldebaran connection and the connection that they have with those particular stars. Eventually, once I cover all the 13 signs, star systems or whatever, as far as the stars that the sun travels through when it goes through the zodiac, I'm going to cover those, which I'm almost done with, and then I'm going to go into the other constellations, because you have other constellations outside of the constellations that the sun travels through. And this is when you get into our star heritage, because these constellations are really where our solar system revolves around a lot of these other constellations or whatever. So these constellations are a lot older, and is where our solar system descended from. So definitely going to start covering those in the near future. But I just want to do a brief video on Taurus just to give people to get a brief understanding on it. It's ruled by Venus. So as far as working with the particular energy right now, Taurus is a good time for work. It's a good time to work in the area that it rules in your natal chart. Because just because you're not born up under the energy of Taurus does not mean you don't have Taurus in your natal chart. When you start to study how the sun travels through the different signs of the zodiac, you can take on the energies of the sun based upon the different signs of the zodiac that is traveling through. And you want to apply that to your natal chart. So you want to find Taurus in your natal chart and find out which particular house it rules based on the cusp of the particular house. You want to find the cusp of the house that it rules, and that's where you want to apply this energy of Taurus. You want to apply this energy of beauty and artistic energy. If you have any projects that are of artistic nature, now's the time to do it. If you have anything you want to do to partner up with people, now's the time to do it, because Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus deals with partnerships. So this is the time to partner up with people. Relationships, really good time for healing of old wounds in relationships, starting a new relationship. Taurus is good for all of that energy or whatever. So not only can you deal with this energy from your natal chart, but you can also channel this energy, because they say as above, so below you. So you can channel this energy on a day-to-day level when the sun goes through these particular constellations. So that's my brief video on Taurus. I hope that helped. For more enlightening information, I ask that you visit my website, 13signsastrology.com.